Greetings. Shop Talk Podcast. Greetings. I'm Norma Jo Thomas, and I am here with my favorite barber, Jamel Thomas, and we are at the historic Joe's Barbershop, right here in the historic African American community of Acres Homes. Joe's Barbershop is the home of Shop Talk. The Shop Talk podcast celebrates the old school black barbershop, where there were conversations about just about everything relevant to the black community. Tune in to Shop Talk. Greetings, and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk, right here in the middle of Joe's Barbershop, in the middle of the historic community of Acres Homes. And I am so excited because I have some wonderful people with me this week, and we're actually kind of stepping into the actual territory of having those conversations, those old school black barbershop conversations. We started talking about the black barbershop as an institution in the community. Can we bring that institution back? Not necessarily the physical institution, but what it stood for, the influence and the impact that it had on the community. So today we're talking about the community. We're headhunting. Where is the community? We used to walk out this door and see nothing but folks that look like us, but we're not here anymore. So where are we? And I'm excited to have with me my sister. This is Sister Furaha. Furaha, how do you actually pronounce your Terri Nairn Collins?
Yeah, Nairn.
Okay,
yeah,
so this
Collins.
is my sister Furaha, Terri Nairn Collins. And I invited her not only because I just love her to death, and she's just so smart and so well-rounded and so knowledgeable, but she's is bicontinental a word?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's bicontinental. So she lives here on the continent of North America for a little bit, and then she goes to the motherland. And she also has a daughter who's an expat. So I think you're going to be able to really bring to us a whole nother persona about community. What is it and what it's about? And then I also have with me my brother from another mother, Cardinal Alan Aswad Walker.
Why'd she throw the Allen in there? But go ahead. Go ahead, Norma Raria. Go ahead, Norma Raria.
This is my brother, and again, just knowledgeable. Let them tell something about themselves. All right, sister, go ahead. I'm gonna let you tell us a little bit about yourself because I'm messing it up. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for asking me to come. I love community. I love being black. I'm black when I go to sleep and black when I wake up.
All right now.
Okay. And I got here in Houston in '03. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, but community and is a part of my life. That's where I grew up. I grew up in the Shrines of the Black Madonna from the age 13. And then so learning about that communalism and all of that is things that were embedded into me, which I raised my daughters that way. And so my middle daughter happens to be an expat. She lives in Rwanda. And so I go back and forth there. But in Rwanda, we have groups together because that's what we know how to do is form groups and try to make differences, wherever we are. So that's what I'm about. So I'm a part of the National Black United Front here in Houston, and that's an organization that brings us together as black people, but we do work that represents us and
Feed
as
the
for
Hood.
us. Feed the Hood is one of us, and we also have the Soul Sundays that's coming up where there's a black market. We do the Sankofa. That's where we come together and pay homage to our ancestors. That's every third Saturday in October. So it's some of the things that we do. And we do activism. We're dealing with the Sugarland 95. The 95 of our people that were in convict leasing and that died and were dug up, and the bodies were found. And they tried to sweep it under the rug, but MBUF came and as well as others. Cardinal Swab's part of that as well, so that we could, let people know that you can't do that. So anything that affects our people, we try to be there, to make sure that we are a part of that to make a difference. Yep.
All right. Cardinal Alan Aswad Walker, talk to us, brother.
So, associate pastor at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, joined in September 1990. So it's been 30 some odd years now. and had the pleasure, honor of serving in Detroit, Atlanta, here in Houston, and spent a brief moment in South Carolina on our farm, Beulah land. Associate editor of The Defender, 93-year-old black newspaper here, defendernetwork.com. Teach African American studies, black liberation theology, and other things at the University of Houston in their African American studies department. And I know I'm forgetting a job or two, but that's who I am. I'm not originally from Texas, but I've been here most of my life. But the reason why I'm excited to be here and in this conversation is just the importance of community. I remember when I was an undergraduate at UT, I was involved in the student movement, the Steve Biko Committee, Black Student Alliance, all these organizations, and we're pushing the university to divest from racist apartheid South Africa, trying to free Mandela, and all the activism. But we built community. This is racist. Can I curse on here? It's this racist ass institution, University of Texas. But we built community. And I remember one summer, so many of us were going to summer school. We just all decided to get apartments in this one small apartment complex. We named it the Biko House. And it was just community. We had, the potlucks going on, and it was community. I just remember feeling like, Lord, when I graduate, I need this same feeling. I need community, because I can't, just real quick, one of the student activists on campus who we looked up to, he literally put his life on the line. He had 2 times when racist frat boys tried to literally kill him on campus. But a couple years later, he comes back to campus, and he tells us, so y'all still into that black thing? And I'll never forget, I was praying to God. I said, Lord, please, God, don't there ever come a day when I say, man, I used to be a part of that black thing. And so when I remember sitting there laying in my bed praying, Lord, please, when I graduate from here, wherever I go, whatever I do, let me have community and let me be involved in doing the black thing, self-determination, what's going to push us forward. And so once I graduated, I was able to find that in several different places, not just the Shrine, but at Shape Community Center, Seha, my sisters and brothers at the Nation of Islam, and NBUF, and Houston. We're kind of blessed in the community that we have, but of course we need to invest more in it to make it stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. What we've been talking about is where is community now?
Right.
When you're talking about NBUF and Seha and Shape, my mind goes to a geographic location.
Right.
I know where to find them. I know there's a brick and mortar. I know how to reach out and touch them. But we're not geographic anymore. It's not, and I feel like we have to begin to, I think someone said something to the effect of not being physically in a community, but having a sense of community. So I wanted to talk a little bit with you guys about that, and especially you being bicontinental. How does that work? Because you're here and you're there at the same time. Right. And even when you're there, you're with people who are not necessarily from there. So, but you're still able to establish community. And definitely, Cardinal Aswad, in everything that you do, it's always about reaching out. So how is it that we're able to make this happen?
For me, growing up in that's just how I am. I believe that people are family. So we in Rwanda, we have a few employees, and they're family. Our driver, his father passed away, but he is of the Nation of Islam. So they had to bury him the next day. So I told Swatara, we have to be there. We have to be there. We drove through mountains and everything, and when we got out the car, it was like the Color Purple movie, honey. And he was like, just shocked that we were there. I said, it was Ramadan for them, but they went and cooked food, and I told my children, whatever's in this pot, we're going to eat it, And those beans and rice was good, baby. We ate them, we communed with them, and that family won't do, every time we show up, they're there. You know, it's the building community. Wherever we go, we try to build community because that's how we know. And in Rwanda, it's so many expats there. I've met people from Chicago, Detroit, you know, all over. And we come together and we meet and we talk about things that we can do. We have women's meetings. We have different meetings about people living there and how to adjust, you know, living there, you know, what you can do, you know, for yourself. So all of that is, you know, as far as building community. Now here in the United States, we're so spread out. Like, you know, I'm going to Acres Home. That's like a whole different city. I live in Third Ward area, you know what I'm saying? And we treat it like that. 20 minutes down the road, but it's just Acres Home, you know, people you say they act like this, Fifth Ward people act like this, Third Ward people act like this, and there's that disconnect, a part of it too. Houston being so big, you know, you're just talking about Houston, and we're spread out, you know, and we have a tendency to stay in our little areas, and then we make up ideas about people on certain sides of town.
I think you're making an excellent and important point, because if we are going to let those physical lines divide us, when in essence that's all it is a physical line. Because the one of the guests that we had here before, he's from Fifth Ward. He's over in Jersey Village right now, but he was from Fifth Ward. And so I was saying, well, you know, that's our sister community. And that's the way we have to see it.
Right.
And so that sheds light on another issue that we're dealing with, is that not only is life just separating us, not only are we just moving about in our lives, but we're also playing into that ourselves. So I'm from the north side, you know, you from the south side. And so that creates that divisiveness.
But one of the issues there is we are responding to lines that other folks set up.
True.
Yes. I mean, that's so much of the issues on the African continent today. You had these colonizers come in and draw these dividing lines and say that you're supposed to be fighting against this person, that person. But I want to go back to what you had originally asked about this, you know, concept of community, when it doesn't seem, when we're spread out, and two, it just doesn't feel like oftentimes that we are in community. Community is, like you said, a state of mind. There's that line, you know, strengthening the ties that bind.
Yes.
So you can be in physical, you know, community can be geographic, but it can also, you can live right next to folk and not know them and not be in community. So it's got to be more than that. And at the shrine, you know, our founder, Reverend Albert B. Clegg, Jeramogi Baby Ajman, he said, look, as black folk, we got to recognize that we are black, we are oppressed, and we seek to end our oppression. And when I'm around or talking, I find people of that like mind, because that's what community is, shared values. And I find folk like that, we can be in community. And quiet as it's kept, you don't even have to be black to be in that community, because if you recognize the oppression of your people, you see the oppression of other people as well, and you can be of like minds. And one thing that I guess hammered home that point, that community is not just geographic, was the COVID-19 pandemic. And, you know, with the virtual village that a good sister we all know, Sister Karima, you know, created this where we can communicate and be in community with sisters and brothers all over the planet on a regular basis,
right,
where we can share ideas, we can discuss, we can argue, we can make up, we can do all those things that we would do if we were in physical proximity, and still have that community. Because community is, we share these same values and we're willing to look out for one another and forward those values.
You know, we have pride in where we're from. And nobody, you know, we're not trying to take that away. We're saying that, yes, you know, Acres Homes, Fifth Ward, you know, Third Ward, Studewood, Sunnyside, I don't want to leave nobody out, Cashmere Gardens, Trinity Gardens, City Gas, all of us, we love where we're from. It shaped who we are. You know, like one of our black writers said, we are all shaped, are we not, by the rim of the soup bowl where we swim. So this is that bowl that we swam in.
But the
this
question
is, who
is
we are.
for you, and you, did it shape, like when we were younger, that neighborhood shaped us. It molded us. Right now, I don't think that that's happening.
Exactly. We're not done with our conversation yet. We'll be right back. But we must take a pause for my favorite segment of Shop Talk, the artistic impact. As I always say, Nothing touches you at the core. Nothing makes us feel, nothing connects us more than the arts. So this week's artistic impact is coming from another Acres Homes talent, Mr. Jimmy Jacobs. He'll be playing Oh Freedom and I Want to Be Ready. Oh Freedom, I Want to Be Ready. So it's really it's the off-camera conversation that's bringing the heat. It's bringing the heat. But I do want to go back to a point that we made about being from different hoods.
Whether you're from Pleasantville or Sunnyside or wherever, back in the day, I think more so than right now, part of what we lost is the value of community. I remember, back in the day, we had block parties at least once a year. And that gave us a sense of community, right there growing up in Briargate. But you can also get that sense of community every Kwanzaa when you go participate in the citywide Kwanzaa festivities. Or I'm a part of Faith in Action, where you got folk from different faith institutions, and we gather together and we meet, and then we go and do community service. Mm-hmm. There's community right there. So community can be built. It doesn't have to just be geographic. In fact, if we're waiting just for geographic communities, we just gonna be waiting. Exactly. But I think it's the values that we have to stress, and we've got to recognize that when we find sisters and brothers that gravitate to those values, we got to cherish that. And we
Right.
got to build that and cultivate
Like
it.
Fourth Ward. I remember I just went to I forgot the name of it, but it was an art museum, and a young sister did a picture of Fourth Ward and the bricks, and I told her, I said, I would love to have been there where I can help mold and shape this community, because they came together because it was a swamp, and that's what they wanted. Oh, they're not going to survive because it's a swamp, and the black people went there right here in Houston, and they built their own homes and library and hospital with their own hands.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
me, man, but that took community, and I'm wondering today, will we do that? Or will we go try to find somebody else to, that's already built, or will we come back and say, well, this is the land that we own. We want everybody to come, and we're going to build our own.
I think we see examples of folk seeking to do that.
Okay.
You can look at this church that's doing it, that mosque that's doing it.
Right.
You can look at In Buff,
Right.
Seha, et cetera. It's happening in pockets.
Pockets.
But we have to stress and celebrate the values. That's one reason why we have holidays. Holidays exist to promote specific values for a
Yes,
specific
yes.
group of people.
Yes.
And so annually, we are reminded that this is what we stand for.
Yes.
And black folk, we got to be honest with ourselves. We don't have any holidays. And so we are finally seeking to develop Juneteenth as something, Martin Luther King Day. We just let that go.
Yes,
But that is something
yes.
else that could be developed.
Yes.
I used to take off every May 19th for Malcolm X Day, when I worked for other folk, because I was like, I'm not waiting for them to say it's a holiday, but
Yes.
we need to do that. What are those values that are most important to us? That's why Dr. Maulana Karenga created Kwanzaa. He was
Kwanzaa,
like,
yeah.
the biggest issue that black folk are facing is a deficit of those critical values. Culture is what he said. We have bought into this destructive Western culture, and we've left the cultural values that
And that's
brought
it in
us,
a
that
nutshell.
allowed us
Yeah.
to build
Yeah.
pyramids and give the world
Yes,
religion, art,
yes,
science,
yes.
civilization, et cetera, et cetera. And so he said, look, at least we have Kwanzaa, and we can celebrate the Nguzo Sabah, those 7 principles, because those are principles that can take us somewhere. But we as a people haven't taken Kwanzaa seriously enough yet. I mean, it's growing, but I just think, I sound like a broken record. I'm always talking about values, values, values. One way to do that is through those holidays that we define, and stop waiting on someone else to give us something.
As I said,
Right.
Kwanzaa is 365.
365.
Yeah.
My children got mad at me because I left my Kwanzaa wreath on the front door. They just took it down. Because it's been up there for 2 years.
But like Colonel Aswad is saying, it's about those values
Yes.
and being able to pass those values along. One of the things that I shared with the brothers earlier was that I get it. We're not a monolithic people. We no longer. There used to be a time when something would happen in the news and we didn't even have to watch. It was like, I know that wasn't a black person. Did no black person do it? Now we don't know.
Absolutely.
We pause to wait and see who is it, who did it, where did it come
Ooh,
from.
and then when it's not us,
so
like-
we don't have a shared value system
Right.
like we used to.
Right.
Or let me put it this way: social media would lead us to believe that we don't have that shared value system like we used to.
I think we have it, but I think we don't do a good enough job of promoting those values and where they are being exhibited. The presiding bishop currently, Jeremiah Jamili Kimathi, he says, black people have heard all the talk, all the rhetoric, all this, that, and the
Yes.
other. They don't need to hear anymore. They need to
Yes.
see something that's working.
Yes.
And if it's working at InBuff, praise God. Let's shine a light on that. If it's working here in Joe's Barbershop, let's praise God and let's shine a light on it. And wherever it's working, let's do that. Because if it's working and if it's making folks' lives better, black folk are going to be there.
Well, I think also that community doesn't have to be in a specific spot. So, because when
Yeah.
we were doing Hurricane Harvey, InBuff put feelers out. It was black groups driving from all over. It was amazing
Yes,
to see. And I was
yes.
like, you know what? We're so spread out. We're doing good things all over. Just imagine coming, all of that knowledge coming together. It's people doing some great things in all states.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how those groups showed up. The Buff House was just full of that. We were able to clothe and feed and do all kinds of things to help the community during Hurricane Harvey. But it wasn't just in Buff, it was the larger Black community that came through.
And we came together for the Rwanda Haitian relief effort.
The relief effort.
Before that, it was Black folk all over the place.
Yes,
and for
that's
Harvey,
community.
the Culture Center was brimming with stuff from Alabama, from Mississippi, from Chicago, from all over the place.
Yes, and it's so good to see. That's why I think community, we have this small community, and we want it, but there is community, but we're so spread out, so we don't think the things are working.
Right.
We don't think the people are doing anything because we can't see it.
Yeah.
But they're spread out all over. But I believe, that coming together, and it took, unfortunately, natural disasters for that to happen. But it opened the eye to let us know that is something going on. There are things going on in Africa that benefit us.
Yes.
People are teaching how to go over there and to get land and to build upon it, and to create jobs and all kinds of stuff. I believe that's our purpose. Unfortunately, we came over here because we were brought over here and snatched over here, but we have things that we can bring back to help the continent because Africa is ours. So I do believe that all that's community, of that's community, and it's just not the small nucleus that we have.
And you guys you're preaching today, because that's really what I wanted to be able to drive home, is that we've got to, and we are transcending geography. But like Aswad was saying earlier, now we've got to shine a light on that. Yeah. So we've got just as much craziness as we see on Instagram,
right,
then we need to see the opposite of that.
Which is what you're doing with this podcast.
I'm doing my best.
Number one, you're doing it here. You got the virtual village with the shrine, but you also have Nubia and Narrative with Dr. Greg Carr and Dr. Karen Hunter. They have created a global community that's growing by leaps and bounds every single week. And if folk who check this out aren't familiar with those two, Dr. Greg Carr, who's a professor at Howard University, Dr. Karen Hunter, she's at Hunter College actually in New York, but they are online almost every day building a conscious, progressive Black community that's about doing something. So we need more of that.
And
that's it.
Rwanda, they're doing a Uhuru investment tour. This will be coming up this year. It is 2024, yes. This year in November. Yes, and they're going to go to, of course, Rwanda, Tanzania, Egypt, and Uganda. But showing people how to come there and build and grow. That's something you can do as a family. See, we did it as a family. So
I just learned something. She just said Tanzania.
She said when she first came in today, and I said,
like,
that's not what we used to say.
That is beautiful, because we used to call it Tanzania. Tanzania. Ooh, go ahead.
So when you go there, so you can come together as a family. We did it. So we got all of our family together, and everybody donated money when we bought land. As a family, everybody invested. You can do that with your own families. You can do that with your community right there. But, send somebody there to learn about how you can.
To that point, it's so funny to me that, those things that we used to do on a regular basis, pool our resources, the mutual aid societies, benevolence, we pooled our resources, we bought land, we bought this, that, and the other, and we made the thing work. Now, today, you see folk from other communities that are doing it, and we ain't even thinking about it.
I got a question for you. Here's a question, because this segues right perfectly into my next question. Do you think that we are in an identity crisis? I was watching a video. No, I wasn't. I was on Twitter. And I was actually doing some reading about, what they were talking about was happening in HISD. And then this one thing popped up, and these people were talking about the difference between Africans, African Americans, Black Americans, Hebrew Israelite, expats. And those are the ones that I remember.
Negropean. We
had divided ourselves into all of these different categories. And there was an all-out, a cyber war going on between all of these individuals. And I didn't realize it had gotten that deep. Someone did ask me one time, I was in a meeting here in the community, and they asked me if I was African American or Black American. And I said, that's a loaded question. I know you're going somewhere with that. So why don't you just tell me what it is that you want to know? Where are you going with it? And I didn't know, however, that it was that widespread and that it was that deep.
I'm going back, number one, to the values. If we share the same values, what the hell does it matter? Number one. Number two, like Dr. John Henry Clark said, the only difference is where we were dropped off.
Where you were dropped off.
Where we dropped off in the Americas, where we dropped off in South America or the Caribbean, wherever. That's the only difference. We are the same people.
Right.
That is absolutely insane. But if we find out that we have shared values, we can get through that nonsense. But that nonsense that you're talking about is absolutely dangerous and destructive.
Yes, it is.
And when you talk about identity, I'm just coming from church. We had a powerful sermon. It was entitled "Wrestling with Yourself." Wrestling with yourself, and the minister, our presiding bishop, he was saying that we walk around thinking that our conditioned self is who we are.
Yes.
Our conditioned self is what the world is trying to make us.
Yes.
And because we've been niggerized and distorted and taught to hate ourselves, then what the world says we are, we trying to be that.
We're trying to be that.
But when God speaks to you, God speaks to the real you. And one of the examples he used was Gideon. Gideon is this dude, beaten down dude. He's hiding, making wheat in a wine press because he's afraid of his oppressors. But when God called him, he said, I'm calling you, mighty warrior. Gideon didn't see that he was a mighty warrior, but God saw it. God was speaking to the real him, his real identity. And so when you ask the question about identity crisis, that's what comes to mind to me. We are too busy running around trying to be, carbon copies of somebody else, and you can only be a second-rate copy of somebody else. But when you're trying to be you, then you can be great.
Yes, I just think that when you said that's dangerous, what it is that I think people want to be seen, or so they put things out, and then people grab hold to them, and this is what I am, and you are what you were born to be. We all have a purpose to be here, and our job is to find our purpose and live in our purpose. And I believe when we don't live into our purpose, it makes the world get off kilter because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's my personal belief about us as beings here. We are beings first before we're even a color. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like when people put things out there, they want, like to get clout, and they want, like those kids saying they want to get likes and stuff. Man, I'm black when I wake up, and I'm black when I go to sleep, and you can call me what you want, but I know what God calls me. And that's just it. So when people get pulled into that, they want to have those arguments and those conversations and to pull us apart. That's another way of pulling us apart as a people.
Exactly.
We are one people, and you're pulling us apart when you do that. And then all those categories. But and what if you're not good at being an African American? They're gonna put you out and put you in the
you lose your black card.
But what you're talking about, it goes right back to values. Hell, just start with the first Kwanzaa principle, umoja, unity. If you're trying to exhibit that, then you're not even going to fix your mouth to start talking about, you're this, I'm that, I'm the other, because unity is a value that's important to you. So you're going to see how we are connected rather than all these
it's like I said, Marcus Garvey said, Africa for the Africans. We are Africans. He wasn't trying to take African Americans, Negropeans, and you can come, the Black American vote, and then the African American vote, and then the Negro vote, and then we got he said Africa for the Africans.
But it's funny, they tried to do that to Marcus Garvey.
Right.
Yeah.
Other, W.B. Du Bois and others, they tried to,
yes, to make him, yes.
He's from the islands. Black folks said, to hell with you.
Right.
Up ye mighty race, accomplish what you will. That's how he was able to get 6 million black folk all over the planet to follow him, because he was speaking to that umoja unity. Yes. Forget all these, false divisions.
But I do believe it's a people, we come together when it's time to come together. You know what I'm saying? When something really touches us as a people. Now they was fighting, but Alabama, Black people all over the world. Yes, all over the world. All over the world. They was, all over the world, really. They were saying, Alabama.
But why did it resonate with Black folk like it did? Because we saw unity in action.
Yes.
It's speaking to something that we don't even
Yes.
know we need.
Yes.
That we don't
Come
even
on
know
now.
we need.
Come on
That's
now.
it.
You
That's
preach
it.
it.
We were celebrating that. In fact,
Yes.
folks said, that's a new holiday, August the 5th. I remember it now. August
yes,
the
I have my
5th is a new
t-shirt.
holiday.
Yes.
It's Alabama Day.
Yes, I saw a young lady with the folding chair earrings. I was like, oh, I gotta get a pair of those, but one thing that I did have to go on and say, they were trying to say, we not our ancestors. And that bothered me.
Come on now. Come on.
I was
That's
like,
when,
hold on.
Uh-uh.
I went on to the
I'm sorry.
TikTok. I
I'm
was like,
sorry.
baby, hold on. We are our ancestors.
Yes, ma'am.
That young man swam across that
Aquaman?
river. Yes. Because we
Swimsdale,
are
Washington?
our ancestors. Yes,
Exactly.
yes. That brother threw that hat up and we answered because we are
Because
our
we
ancestors.
are our ancestors.
Our ancestors are the reason that we are here.
Biologically, we are
Yes.
ancestors.
Yes.
Their DNA, their blood is
Oh,
literally
yes.
in us. They
so
still
stop
live in us.
saying that,
Yeah.
And then I got a lot of responses from young Black people said, yes, ma'am. Because
Yeah.
stop saying that.
Yeah.
We are our ancestors, because if our ancestors didn't take the stuff that they took, or didn't work as hard as they did, you would not be here.
Yeah, I preach that cyber sermon every year.
Yes.
And my thing about it is that it's dishonoring and it's disrespectful because what they accomplished
What they
Yeah.
in the
accomplished,
first
yes.
50 years out of slavery,
Yes.
we have yet to accomplish with cell phones and computers and cars and et cetera, and libraries, all of these things. And what have we accomplished?
And you're selling their land that they.
Yes, yes.
And it
yes,
speaks to
yes.
the miseducation that we have endured, because if we really knew, we would be thankful that we are our ancestors
are.
and recognize that we ain't even halfway lived up to what they have done. Because
Right.
resistance, there has never been a day when Black folk did not resist oppression and
resist
exploitation.
That's it.
But because we don't learn that, we think our ancestors were soft and they were just
Oh,
taking
yes.
it, they were this, that, and the other. And so that impacts us. So, but that goes back to community as our job as members of the community to educate those of our people.
It's our job as members of the community to educate, but now, step farther, it's our job as members of the community to expand that concept of community so we reach our brothers and sisters
Yeah.
who, wherever they are,
Yes.
whoever they are, wherever they are.
But the mind, when our people think that what he was talking about, not having accomplished anything, is so important. I have this one thing that I made, is 100 reasons to thank a Black person, and all of the things that, so I put it up, 100 reasons to thank, from the toilet to the stroller.
Yes,
and so when I
ma'am.
was in Africa, young man, he was like, I said, Black people, we created a lot. He was like, what? Like what? He did. And then I said, well, we're riding down the street. I said, well, the stop sign. He said, what? Stoplight right there. We did. And when I got through, he was like, we are amazing. I was like, yes, we are. But our children don't know that.
Yeah.
All they think is that the white man invented everything. And some of the children in Africa, they think that too because of colonization. That the white man is just the be all, end all. Black people didn't, some of our people believe we were born on that boat. You know what I'm saying? We don't have anything beyond before that. I'm sorry. And so, but I just feel like that's a part of community too. They need to know their history, because if you don't know where you're being, you don't know where you're going, so that's a part of community too. I think it's our job to definitely, because if we don't tell the story, then it will die with us.
Yes.
And to what Sister Rawia said about it's our job to expand community, you expand community with those folk in your circle or in your universe. I do it over here, but we can't feel bad if we're not speaking to everyone.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Because Sister Rawia may have the voice and the impact to talk to the Yellowstone boys, whereas I might not. But whoever is in our sphere of influence, that we've got to do that but we can't castigate ourselves for not being able to speak to everyone, because God ain't calling us to speak to everybody. We got to find those folk who we can touch.
Yes, and that definitely, will make a difference. But like those pockets of black people all over the world that's doing something, that's coming together. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the positive part of social media is when you can bring those groups and those ideas together. I think that's the positive part. So many times we see nothing but the negative because a lot of those social media apps only want to show black people in a bad light,
right?
And they don't want to show us in a good light. So we don't see the positive things that are going on, but they're out there, and you have to kind of search for them, and they'll change your algorithm. I'm getting
indeed,
good. Ooh,
indeed.
There's something really profound in that, right? Because you can change the algorithm of social media, but you can also change the algorithm of your brain. Because if you're only focusing on the negative, you are training your brain to only see and expect the negative.
Yes.
So we got to change this algorithm as well to expect and look for community.
Right. So because that media, when you pull it up, they only show biracial couples now. They don't show the total black family. Like I don't care who you with, but I'm just saying. But you can't negate and then they'll bring either a black person on there and talk bad about that. Then you can't do that in front of me. That's just not happening. But I just but they don't show the total black family. They don't show the black father in the family. I was watching one movie, and they had all these white fathers, and they was doing everything, and then they had this black sister with her kids. The daddy with no father. And they do that all the time. Or they'll bring somebody on and my daddy wasn't there in my life. Man, there's so many daddies that's out there doing the doggone thing, but we don't hear.
We don't hear it and see it.
We don't see the positiveness of black.
Even the CDC that led the Tuskegee experiment, even them in 2015 came out and, from their research, they said black fathers show up just as much, and in some instances more than any other father in terms of working with their children. But that just reminds me how we've got to shine a light on folk that are out there doing the darn thing. Yes. There's this sister that I know, her name is Sister Mayasa, and she's on this mission to elevate our understanding of finances. Because, like we were saying before we even started, how when we grew up, we weren't taught that.
Yeah, no.
We weren't.
That's a big part of our problem in the community.
But that is one example of a person that's out there letting her light shine and trying to make a difference. And that's one way to change that algorithm, right? Instead of focusing on all the BS and the negative, let's focus on those folk who are out there doing something, or the organizations that are out there doing something.
I think you just coined a new phrase.
What's that?
We're going to change the algorithm.
Change the algorithm.
We're going to change the algorithm.
I need a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's coming.
Yes,
it's coming.
We're going to make that T-shirt.
We're going to
change
the algorithm.
I sure do.
Yes,
and I think that is so important because what I think what hurts me to my soul when I see certain things is that I know the impact that it's having on the masses of us.
Yes.
I know the impact that it's having on our younger generation whose minds are malleable, So anything could come in at any time and shape and mold them, and there we go. We're thinking, so we don't need colonization anymore. It's like we're colonizing ourselves.
Yes.
So it's very hurtful and it's painful, but I'm always mindful of, what Jeramogi Abebe said, Reverend Albert B. Clegg, when he said, you have to find that critical mass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, I might feel like I need to be talking to more people. I need to be reaching out to more people. But there is a group.
Yes.
There's a group
Yes.
that's assigned to me.
Right.
And so my job is to get in my lane so that I could reach out to that group that's assigned to me.
Because guess what? That group is going to spread. It's not going to stay there.
There you go.
And they're going to take that knowledge.
And it's going to expand.
Bam.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
And that's what I think, as far as the shrine went, is that knowledge was given, then the knowledge spread it.
Yes.
So it's people all over the world that is speaking like this because they gain that that knowledge, and that's important because but those, like I said, all those Facebooks and all of that, they don't want to show us. Even TikTok has gone to the point where they are taking good content creators off.
Oh yeah.
because they're talking. Yeah, or you enlighten them too much, so you got to go. We need the buffoon over
We need
here.
the buffoonery.
Yeah, yeah. We need
serves a purpose.
yeah. And so that our children have to know that's on purpose. That's on purpose.
And we can sit back and be pissed about that, or we can do what Sister Rawia said and take proactive steps to change the algorithm. We got to do it ourselves.
Yes, and so another thing as far as community, our children have to they have to have pride in their surroundings. I was telling you all earlier that across from Cullen Middle School, when you try to drive into Cullen, there is a dog that's dead. The carcass is there. I called when it first happened, because I was on it. I'm calling everybody. I called everybody that I could think of, 211, 311, 411, 911, to try to get this dog, And then I took to social media about it. The dog has been dead for 3 weeks. I'm telling you, the parents have to roll over the carcass to get into the school. The dog smells so bad, the children have to walk, so they don't care about the neighborhood. But I told them that's on purpose too. I want you to know that they want the community to be dilapidated. So when it goes down, the property value goes down. Listen, they can come in there and build those houses that you cannot afford to live in. That's all purpose. That's the part of the gentrification in that whole area.
Yes,
so. In the whole area, the city doesn't come and cut the grass over there. It's high, it look like a bush, over there, And our children have to see that. They had this one lady living at the end of the corner, white lady, she was on the corner of 610 with her buggy, and she was making a bed. Not that I'm saying anything about her situation, because I don't know it. But go somewhere else with that. We have homeowners here dropping our property value because you had stuff everywhere, using the restroom out in front public.
Oh, wow.
It was just a mess. I called everyone, 411, 911, 211. She got to go because when you go over to River Oaks, there's a sign. You can't do that here.
Yes.
I said, why don't you go over to River Oaks and lay up there like that? They won't let me. We won't let you either, baby. You got to go.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you, but you got to go because what is that telling our children?
Yeah.
And our children just walking past her like, this is normal.
And that's it right there. As you were speaking, I thought of what Bishop Kimathi said one time, and he was telling us about the broken window syndrome.
Yeah.
And he used this analogy: little kids walking down the street from school. They see a building, all the windows busted out. What are they going to do? They're going to pick up rocks and they're going to bust out the rest of the windows. So the mentality is, if it's broken, then that must be the way it's supposed to be. That's normalcy. That's the way it's supposed to happen. So it's okay. And so they begin to develop that mentality pretty much in every aspect of their lives, of mediocrity, of substandard behavior, substandard living.
When you're talking, I'm thinking about Talib Kweli, one of my favorite rappers, who's part of Black Star. He has a line. He says, "We've gotten used to abnormal normality."
You see?
I'll be damn.
Abnormal
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Some folk call it abnormal normality. Other folk call it the slave culture. You can call it what you want, but it is us living below what God wants us to.
Yes.
Below the standard, below the inner divinity that's in us and in all human beings. It's in all of us.
Right.
But we, like you say, you said it earlier, like we are patrolling ourselves. We are colonizing ourselves. We're doing it ourselves, and we are, just investing in the madness. And so, but we can't just sit back and complain about it. We got to figure out proactive steps.
I was going to have you talk.
PTSD, DeGrue.
Yeah.
Is that her name, DeGrue?
Yes.
But we can't just sit back and complain about it. We got to figure out proactive steps.
I was going to have you talk.
PTSD, DeGrue. Is that her name, DeGrue?
Yes. And
DEGRUY.
Yes, I read a lot.
I was going to say DeGrue, but I know that's not it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that slave syndrome, that is so real.
It is. It's real.
From
It's
generation,
real.
and getting rid of those generational curses is another thing that, we have to change the algorithm for,
Those psychological chains.
Yes, psychological change.
Well, listen, I have just been Ooh, it's a Sunday that we're doing this recording here, and I've been filled, and I feel like we need to pass the collection plate. Because you guys have brought the heat. You guys have preached the sermon today, and I think that what I'm walking away with and what I want to continue building upon is that when it feels like we are not present, when it feels like we no longer exist, when it feels like community is an abstract, community is a thing of the past, which I actually had somebody tell me that there's no longer a need for community. There's no longer a need to talk about, trying to create something that exists no longer. We have already transcended geography. Mm-hmm. It does. So it's almost like, it's the still I rise, it doesn't matter what happened. We continue to rise. We have transcended the geographical boundaries of community. We just don't know it. So what we have to do is shine the light on it. We have to make sure that we're letting our brothers and sisters know, nope, we're still here. Nope, we're still doing the darn thing. Nope, we are still community wherever we are. We look different, we walk different, we talk different, but we're still here. But what I really, really, really love, and we're going to make it a t-shirt, we're going to change the algorithm. We're changing the algorithm. So listen, thank you, Sister Furaha, and you're going to have to take me back to the motherland with you.
Yes, everybody, come on.
Tanzania.
To Tanzania.
Tanzania.
We're not going to Tanzania.
No, we're going to Tanzania.
We're going to Tanzania, yes. Thank you, Cardinal Aswad Walker, brother with the Defender. Thank you for the
Sister
work
from
that you
another
guys
mister.
did. Brother from another mother. Yes, thank y'all so much for spending this time
it
with
was
us
wonderful,
here on
yes.
Shop Talk. And thank you for tuning in. And as always, come back. But listen, don't let the conversation stop here. Take the conversation to your favorite barbershop. Take the conversation to your favorite beauty shop. Take the conversation online. Just take the conversation. And when you do, we're going to all conspire to change the algorithm. So I'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Please find the following books by Aswad Walker on Amazon and wherever books are sold. Stand Your Ground, Weapons of Mass Distraction, 100th Monkey, Annual 01, and Princes Shall Come Out of Egypt.
Season 1 of Shop Talk Podcast is funded in part by a grant from the City of Houston through the Houston Arts Alliance.